Blood pooled on the asphalt as I took my last breath, ruined by a pregnant co-worker's lie and a stolen Tupperware of risotto. Now, blinking at the office microwave, I realized I was back. This time, I wouldn't share my lunch. I'd serve them all revenge piping hot. Searing heat radiated against my palms. I blinked my vision, blurring, then snapping into sharp focus. The hum of the break room refrigerator buzzed in my ears, replacing the screeching tires and the sickening crunch of metal that had been my final memory just seconds ago. I looked down. In my hands was a glass container of homemade wild mushroom and truffle risotto. Steam curled from the cracked lid. It was Tuesday, October 14th. I was alive. I was 28 again, and I was standing exactly where my life had ended in my previous timeline. Chloe, oh my gosh, what is that heavenly smell? The baby is absolutely kicking up a storm for it. A cold sweat broke out across the back of my neck. I slowly turned my head. There she was. Brenda Carmichael. She was 6 months pregnant, wearing a designer maternity dress that cost more than my monthly rent, resting both hands on her swollen belly with a practiced theatrical sigh. In my past life, this was the exact moment that sealed my doom. Brenda, the entitled daughter of a billionaire logistics tycoon who was only working at our firm for character building, had demanded my lunch. Being the pushover people-pleaser I was, I had smiled, handed over my fork, and watched her devour it. 3 hours later, she had collapsed on the office floor, foaming at the mouth. She claimed my risotto was laced with walnut oil, an allergen she had never once disclosed to anyone. She lost her baby. Her father, Richard Carmichael, unleashed a legal hellfire upon me that froze my bank accounts, got me blacklisted from every industry in the city, and drove my fiancé to leave me. Destitute and hounded by the media, I was hit by a delivery truck while fleeing a paparazzi ambush outside my dilapidated apartment. Earth to Chloe. Brenda snapped her perfectly manicured fingers in front of my face, pulling me back to the present. I said I need a bite of that. Honestly, it's not even for me, it's for little Timmy in here. He's starving, and the cafeteria food gives me heartburn. She reached out, her diamond bracelets clinking, expecting me to just hand over my meal like a compliant servant. I looked at her manicured hand. I looked at her smug, expectant face. The phantom pain of shattered ribs from the truck's grill flared in my chest. No, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but in the quiet break room it landed like a gunshot. Brenda's hand froze mid-air. Her heavily glossed lips parted in shock. "Excuse me," I said. "No, Brenda. This is my lunch. I cooked it for myself. You can't have it." The break room door swung open, and in walked Madison Hayes. If Brenda was the office princess, Madison was the self-appointed office saint. She was the HR darling who baked cupcakes for every birthday, organized the charity runs, and made sure everyone knew exactly how much she sacrificed for others. In my past life, Madison had been the star witness in my criminal negligence trial, crying on the stand as she testified that I was always jealous of Brenda's pregnancy and had maliciously withheld the ingredient list. "Is everything okay in here?" Madison gasped, pressing a hand to her pearl necklace. She rushed over, instantly, positioning herself between me and Brenda like a human shield. "Brenda, honey, you look flushed." "Chloe won't share her lunch with me." Brenda whined, her voice instantly dropping an octave to sound small and victimized. "I just asked for a little taste. The baby is just so hungry, Madison. I feel dizzy." Madison turned to me, her eyes wide with manufactured outrage. "Chloe, are you serious right now? She is carrying a human life. Her blood sugar is probably crashing. How can you be so incredibly selfish over some rice?" I stared at Madison, taking in her perfectly curled blonde hair and her condescending pout. I gripped the warm glass container. The rage inside me was a living, breathing thing, but I kept my face utterly passive. "It's mushroom risotto, Madison," I said smoothly. "And I don't share food with co-workers. It's unhygienic." "Unhygienic!" Madison shrieked. "She's pregnant, not contagious. Honestly, Chloe, where is your basic human decency? Give her the bowl. Now!" "You want it so bad?" I asked, my voice deadly calm. "Yes, for the baby," Brenda cried out, rubbing her belly emphatically. I held the glass container over the large, grey recycling bin. I made direct eye contact with Brenda, smiled and turned my wrist. Splat! The steaming, fragrant risotto slid out of the glass and hit the bottom of the trash bin with a wet thud, mixing instantly with coffee grounds and discarded banana peels. Brenda gasped, stumbling back against the counter. Madison let out a noise that sounded like a dying seagull. "Oops," I said, my tone flat. "Guess nobody is eating it now. Better run down to the cafeteria, Brenda. Little Timmy wouldn't want to wait." You psycho!" Brenda stammered, actual tears welling up in her eyes. Not tears of hunger, but tears of denied entitlement. She had never been told no in her entire 26 years of existence. Madison immediately wrapped her arms around Brenda. "Shh, it's okay, sweetie. Don't let her raise your blood pressure. Chloe, I am reporting this to HR. This creates a hostile work environment. Go ahead," I replied, rinsing my glass container in the sink. "Tell them I threw my own property in the trash. I'm sure it's a fireable offense." "Don't listen to her," Madison cooed to Brenda, stroking her hair. "Listen to me, Brenda. I brought a gorgeous organic quinoa and roasted vegetable salad. It has toasted almonds and a lemon tahini dressing. I'll give it to you right now. In fact, you know what I'm going to start bringing you lunch every single day. We can't have you relying on selfish people like her." I dried my container with a paper towel, hiding the massive, victorious grin spreading across my face. Yes, Madison, I thought. Feed her. Take the bait. Become her savior. Because what Madison didn't know, what nobody in the office knew yet, was that Brenda wasn't allergic to walnut oil. In my past life, during the discovery phase of my trial, my underpaid public defender uncovered Brenda's medical records. Brenda had 0 nut allergies. What she did have was a horrific, deeply hidden substance abuse problem and a desperate desire to get rid of a pregnancy that was threatening her party lifestyle without losing the financial backing of her strictly conservative, billionaire father. She had used my lunch as a scapegoat to induce a miscarriage through other chemical means, blaming the food, so her father would pity her instead of cutting her off. Now Madison had just volunteered to be the new scapegoat. "Thank you, Madison," Brenda sniffled, glaring at me over Madison's shoulder. "You're a real saint." "I know," Madison whispered humbly. "I just care so much." I walked out of the break room, my stomach growling, but my soul absolutely feasting. By Thursday, I was the undisputed villain of the 7th floor. The gossip spread faster than a virus. Dave from IT wouldn't even look at me when he came to fix my dual monitors. The receptionist gave me a wide berth, and my manager had already called me in for a casual chat about team synergy and office empathy. I nodded, smiled, and went right back to my desk to absolutely crush the Sullivan merger accounts. If there was one thing dying taught me, it was that office popularity didn't pay the rent. Commissions did. Meanwhile, Madison was living her absolute best life. She had fully embraced her role as Brenda's culinary guardian angel. Every morning, Madison arrived with aesthetically pleasing, Instagram-worthy bento boxes. There was wild-caught salmon with asparagus, artisanal bone broths, and organic fruit medleys. Madison made sure to present these meals loudly, usually in the middle of the open-plan bullpen, so everyone could witness her boundless generosity. Just some extra folic acid for my 2 favorite people. Madison would sing-song, handing over a meticulously packed lunch. Brenda soaked it up, demanding more. "Oh, Madison, you're an angel. But you know I was really craving something savory tomorrow. Maybe a beef Wellington, just bite-sized." Of course, sweetie. Anything for the baby. Madison would chirp, though I could see the slight strain around her eyes. Gourmet cooking on an HR salary wasn't cheap, but Madison was playing the long game. On Friday afternoon, I caught her lingering by the printer, discreetly scrolling through a Wikipedia page on her phone. I recognized the stern, imposing face on the screen instantly. Richard Carmichael. CEO of Carmichael Industries. Net worth, $3.2 billion. Widowed 3 times. Madison had figured out who Brenda's daddy was. From that moment on, Madison's strategy shifted from merely feeding Brenda to becoming utterly indispensable to her. When Brenda complained about her back, Madison bought her a heated lumbar pillow. When Brenda said her ankles were swollen, Madison was literally under the desk massaging them. It was pathetic, but it was highly effective. 2 weeks into the new routine, Brenda conveniently fell ill with morning sickness and stopped coming to the office. This was Madison's golden opportunity. Claiming she was worried about Brenda's nutrition, Madison started leaving work early to deliver homemade meals directly to the Carmichael estate in the wealthy suburbs of the Palisades. I monitored the situation through the office grapevine, sipping my black coffee and minding my own business. Did you hear? Dave from IT whispered to a junior analyst near the water cooler. Madison met Brenda's dad, the billionaire. Apparently he was super impressed that she was taking care of his daughter. No way, the analyst whispered back. Wait, isn't he single? I smirked behind my spreadsheet. Richard Carmichael wasn't just single. He was a notorious predator who preyed on younger women who craved status. But more importantly, he was a controlling sociopath who used his wives as emotional punching bags to keep his beloved daughter Brenda entertained. In my past life, the tabloids had eventually leaked the truth about the Carmichael household after Richard sued me. Brenda was a psychological terror. She had driven Richard's second wife to a nervous breakdown, and his third wife had fled the country with nothing but the clothes on her back due to an ironclad draconian prenup. Richard allowed Brenda to torture his wives because it kept her dependent on him. It was a sick, twisted family dynamic, hidden behind billions of dollars. Madison didn't see the red flags. She only saw the green. A month passed. The weather turned colder, frosting the office windows. Madison started coming into work wearing designer clothes that far exceeded her pay grade. A Gucci belt here, Prada heels there. Her attitude shifted from sickly sweet office martyr to arrogant pseudo-royalty. She stopped baking cupcakes for birthdays and started delegating her HR paperwork to interns. Then came the Tuesday morning that changed everything. Madison strolled into the office at 10:30 a.m., holding a venti latte. She wasn't just walking, she was parading. As she reached the center of the bullpen, she casually brushed her hair behind her ear with her left hand. The diamond was so large it looked like a small disco ball. Gasps echoed across the room. Several coworkers rushed over, swarming her. "Oh my God, Madison, is that—" Madison feigned a bashful laugh, holding her hand out. "I know it's so sudden, but when you know, you know." "Who is it?" the receptionist squealed. Madison looked directly at me across the room. Her eyes were triumphant, practically glowing with malice and victory. "It's Richard Carmichael, Brenda's father." The office erupted into a frenzy of congratulations and shock. Madison was marrying a billionaire. "I'm just so blessed," Madison announced loudly, making sure her voice carried to my cubicle. Richard said he fell in love with my nurturing spirit. And the best part, I get to be Brenda's new stepmom. I'm moving into the estate this weekend to help her prepare for the baby. We're practically going to be raising little Timmy together. "That is a literal fairy tale," one of the accounts managers gushed. "You're going to be a stepmom to a billionaire's heir," Madison beamed. She looked at me again, offering a condescending, pitying smile. "You know, Chloe, it's funny how life works out. If you had just been a little kinder, a little more giving with that lunch of yours, maybe you could have caught Richard's eye." But I guess karma really does reward the generous. I leaned back in my ergonomic chair, interlacing my fingers. Oh, Madison, I thought, suppressing a dark, bubbling laugh. You have no idea. Congratulations, Madison, I said smoothly, my voice cutting through the chatter. I truly believe you and the Carmichaels deserve exactly what you're going to get. She narrowed her eyes, detecting the sarcasm, but too inflated by her own ego to care. Thank you, Chloe. I'll make sure to send you a postcard from our honeymoon in Monaco. Oh, actually... She paused, a wicked grin spreading across her face. Richard is throwing a massive engagement gala at the estate this Saturday. The whole office is invited. You should come, Chloe. It might be good for you to see how the other half lives. It was a blatant power play. She wanted me there to witness her ultimate triumph. She wanted me to eat my heart out, watching her become the queen of the castle. I wouldn't miss it for the world, I replied, and I meant it, because I knew exactly what Brenda was planning to do at that party. I knew why Brenda had allowed Madison to get this close to her father. Brenda's miracle baby was becoming a problem she needed to dispose of, and now she finally had her perfect, wealthy, status-obsessed scapegoat locked securely inside the estate walls. The office saint was walking willingly into a slaughterhouse wearing Prada heels, and I was going to secure a front-row seat. Saturday evening rolled in with a bitter frost, but the Carmichael estate in the Palisades was a beacon of ostentatious warmth. Valets in crisp uniforms whisked away the modest sedans of my co-workers, replacing them with a fleet of Bentleys and Porsches in the sprawling circular driveway. Walking through the massive mahogany double doors, it was immediately clear that this engagement gala was designed to intimidate. Inside the grand ballroom was a spectacle of champagne towers, string quartets, and caviar stations. My co-workers clustered near the bar, looking wildly out of place in their off-the-rack suits and rented gowns, whispering furiously to one another as they took in the sheer scale of the billionaire's wealth. I stood near a massive ice sculpture of a swan, sipping a club soda with lime, completely at peace. Chloe, so glad you could make it. I turned to see Madison descending the grand staircase. She was swathed in a custom emerald green silk gown that clung to her perfectly toned figure. Around her neck sat a diamond tennis necklace that easily cost more than my entire lifetime earnings. She glided over to me, a glass of vintage Dom Perignon in her hand, radiating the smug satisfaction of a woman who believed she had conquered the world. Madison, I said, my voice smooth and polite. You look stunning. The house is incredible. Isn't it? She sighed happily, gazing up at the frescoed ceiling. Richard insists on the best. He's completely redecorating the east wing for me. And of course, I'm turning the solarium into a holistic nursery for Brenda's baby. Speaking of, Madison waved a manicured hand toward the far side of the room. Sitting on a velvet chaise lounge, surrounded by fawning society wives, was Brenda. She looked pale, her eyes darting nervously around the room, though she forced a wide, practiced smile whenever someone looked her way. Standing behind her like a gargoyle was Richard Carmichael. He was a tall, imposing man in his late 50s, with cold, dead eyes, and a grip on Brenda's shoulder that looked painfully tight. She looks a bit stressed, I observed mildly. Oh, it's just the pregnancy nerves, Madison whispered, leaning in as if sharing a state secret. But I have it completely under control. I've been brewing her a special organic raspberry leaf and black cohosh tea to soothe her uterine lining. I'm going to make her a fresh batch right now for the toast. Richard just loves how attentive I am. Black cohosh. My heart did a slow, heavy thump. In small, regulated doses, some holistic circles claimed it helped with late-stage pregnancy. In large doses, or mixed with the wrong chemical compounds, it was a potent abortifacient. It caused severe cramping, hemorrhaging, and rapid termination. I looked back at Brenda. She caught my eye across the room. For a fraction of a second, The mask slipped. I saw a flash of cold, calculating desperation. Brenda knew exactly what Black Cohosh did. She had specifically requested Madison make it for her. In my past life, Brenda had used my wild mushroom and truffle risotto to mask the bitter taste of the chemical powder she ingested to end her pregnancy, claiming my hidden walnut oil caused anaphylactic shock and subsequent miscarriage. Now she had a much better patsy. Madison, the boastful holistic health guru, was going to serve Brenda a potent, unregulated herbal cocktail in front of 200 witnesses. "You're a true Saint, Madison," I said, raising my club soda in a mock toast. "You really do go above and beyond." Madison preened, taking the bait. "I just do what's right, Chloe. Excuse me, I need to go prepare my daughter's tea." I watched Madison strut away toward the estate's massive professional kitchen. A few minutes later, the string quartet stopped playing. The low hum of conversation died down as Richard Carmichael tapped a silver spoon against a crystal champagne flute. Family, friends, and employees. Richard boomed his voice, echoing off the marble floors. He looked at my co-workers with thinly veiled disdain. "We are gathered here tonight to celebrate my upcoming union with a remarkable woman. Madison has brought light back into this home, and more importantly, she has dedicated herself to the health and well-being of my beloved daughter, Brenda, and my future grandson." The room erupted into polite applause. Madison emerged from the kitchen doors, practically floating on air. She carried a silver tray. On it rested a delicate porcelain teacup steam, curling from the dark liquid inside. She walked directly to the center of the room, playing to the audience perfectly. "Thank you, Richard, my love," Madison cooed loudly, ensuring her voice carried. "I brought Brenda her special herbal tonic. I brewed it myself. Nothing but the best for our little miracle." She handed the teacup to Brenda. Brenda took it with trembling hands. She looked at Madison. "You made this yourself, just for me." "Just for you, sweetie," Madison beamed. "Drink up." Brenda brought the cup to her lips. She locked eyes with me over the porcelain rim. I didn't blink. I didn't move. I just watched as she tilted her head back and drained the entire cup. 10 minutes passed. The quartet resumed playing. Waiters circulated with hors d'oeuvres. Madison was busy showing off her ring to the VP of sales. Then the screaming started. It was a piercing, agonizing shriek that shattered the elegant atmosphere of the gala. The string quartet screeched to a halt. Heads whipped around. Brenda was doubled over on the velvet chaise lounge, clutching her swollen stomach, her face drained of all color. The teacup shattered on the marble floor at her feet. "My baby," Brenda wailed, thrashing wildly. "It burns! Oh God, it burns!" Chaos erupted. Guests backed away in horror. Richard Carmichael shoved through the crowd, his face purple with rage and panic. He dropped to his knees beside his daughter. "Brenda, someone call a damn ambulance!" Madison rushed forward, her emerald dress swishing her face, a mask of utter confusion. "Brenda, honey, what's wrong? Is it Braxton Hicks?" Brenda looked up, tears streaming down her face. She pointed a shaking accusatory finger directly at Madison. "She poisoned me," Brenda screamed, her voice cracking with hysteria. "The tea. She forced me to drink it. She said she wanted to be the only woman in the house. She wants the inheritance for her own kids." The entire ballroom gasped in unison. A deathly silence fell over the room, save for Brenda's sobbing. Madison froze. All the blood drained from her face. "What? No, Brenda. It was just raspberry leaf and black cohosh. You asked me to make it." "I didn't," Brenda sobbed, clutching her father's jacket. "Daddy, she's been forcing me to take these weird herbs for weeks. I tried to tell you, but I was so scared. She said if I didn't drink them, she would make you cut me off." "That is a lie," Madison shrieked, panic finally setting in. She looked around at the sea of horrified faces, seeking an ally. Her eyes landed on my co-workers. You guys know me. I'm the HR manager. I care about people. I would never. Dave from IT stepped back, shaking his head. The receptionist covered her mouth in shock. Nobody stepped forward. Madison had treated them like peasants all night. Why would they defend her now? Richard Carmichael stood up. He didn't look like a grieving grandfather. He looked like a titan ready to destroy a village. You, Richard snarled, his voice dropping to a terrifying, deadly whisper. You gave my pregnant daughter an unregulated abortifacient. Richard, please. Madison begged, tears ruining her expensive makeup, leaving black streaks down her cheeks. I was just trying to help. It was an herbal remedy. Security, Richard roared. Two massive men in black suits materialized from the shadows, grabbing Madison roughly by the arms of her designer gown. Hold her until the police arrive. If my daughter loses this child, I am going to make sure you never see the outside of a prison cell. I will freeze every asset you have. I will ruin your life. No, Richard, I love you. Madison sobbed, struggling against the guards as they dragged her toward the foyer. Chloe, tell them. Tell them I'm a good person. Tell them I just wanted to help. As she was dragged past me, I took a calm sip of my club soda. Like I told you, Madison, I said quietly, just loud enough for her to hear. Karma rewards the generous. The aftermath was swifter and more brutal than I could have ever imagined. By Monday morning, Madison's desk was cleared out. The tabloids had a field day. The toxic stepmom billionaire's fiancé arrested for attempted feticide. Here is what the investigation uncovered. The tox screen. The hospital found massive traces of a chemical abortifacient in Brenda's system. The evidence police raided Madison's apartment and found her search history full of queries about black cohosh effects on pregnancy and how to induce early labor, which she had genuinely been researching to sound like an expert to Richard. The lawsuit Richard Carmichael unleashed his army of corporate lawyers. They froze Madison's bank accounts, seized her assets, and hit her with a civil suit so massive she would be paying it off into her next life. Brenda, of course, played the tragic victim flawlessly. She lost the baby, securing her father's undivided attention and pity. However, her victory was a hollow one. Paranoid after the incident, Richard locked Brenda down completely. He hired 24/7 security to monitor her, cut off her access to her trust fund, and trapped her in that massive gilded mansion. She got rid of the baby, but she became a prisoner to the very man she had tried to manipulate. As for me, I walked into the office on Monday morning, placed my glass Tupperware of homemade risotto in the break room fridge, and sat down at my desk. With Madison gone and HR in shambles, the company brought in an external audit. They noticed my flawless numbers on the Sullivan merger and promoted me to senior account director by the end of the month. I got my own office, a massive pay bump and a door that locked. Sometimes the best revenge isn't plotting someone's downfall. It's simply refusing to be a pawn in their game, stepping back and letting the villains destroy each other while you enjoy a hot, perfectly cooked lunch. Wow, what a wild ride of karma and revenge. If you loved seeing this toxic coworker and manipulative billionaire daughter get exactly what they deserved, please hit that like button. Right now, don't forget to share this story with your friends who love a satisfying plot twist, and subscribe to the channel for more crazy real-life drama stories every single week. Drop a comment below. What would you have done in Chloe's shoes? See you in the next video.